Hi, my name is Steve Snapp, and in this episode we're going to talk about how we use Salesforce for building materials to help organizations that sell building materials sell through contractors. In a lot of our videos we talk about this book that Mark Mitchell wrote that emphasizes selling through the building materials sales channel. And in one of his chapters he talks about some of the specific techniques for selling to contractors. And I just want to touch on some of those ideas as a way of showing how we make it easy using Salesforce to manage that process, manage the relationship that the contractor has with the project, and make sure that we're doing everything we can to not only maximize the relationship with the contractor, but also identify those things that will prevent that contractor from working with us. So in this example on my screen, I have a project record open. And just for a quick little background, we've built an app in Salesforce.com specifically for organizations that sell building materials. So what you'll notice when I look in my Salesforce screen is that I've got some things that are very, very specific to building material manufacturers. I'm not going to talk through all of these today. We've got this idea of programs, projects, and project relationships, in addition to quotes and obviously design records. And there's a lot of other videos here on our channel about that. This particular episode we're going to talk about selling to contractors. But if you're interested in any of those other videos, please click the links below or navigate to the building materials playlist and you can watch some of those other videos. So let's talk a little bit about selling to contractors and some of the specific challenges that are associated with them. So as I said, we're at this project record. And if I open up the project record, the related section, I can see all of the key project relationships associated with this project. Now before I do that, let me just jump back over to the project and say for a moment that this project could come from a couple different places. It could be a project that we identified and therefore we enter the project, or it could be a project that we found on Dodge or BidClerk or one of the other list services, or a project that an architect brought us in. In either case, once I've identified a project, I put that project information into Salesforce and I identify the stage of that particular project. It might be in design, it might have been awarded, it might be somewhere between design and award, etc. All those details of that project are then loaded into Salesforce, and then in addition to that, I can manage the key relationships. So now, the reason I wanted to share that background is we're now in the project relationships area for this particular project. So if I open up the project relationship screen, this shows me all the people that are playing a role on that project. Now, as I said in the previous screen, all the details of that project, where it's located, how big it is, all of those things are obviously managed in that other screen. But here I can see all the key players. There's a couple things I want to point your attention to. So if I sort this by status, you can see that I can see that 3 of these relationships have been awarded this project. So in this case, the architect's been awarded, and both of the subs have been awarded. So in addition to that, I can identify and see very clearly their attitude of the contractor or the architect towards us or towards our product. Now, what's important about this is the status tells me the relationship between that player and the project. The attitude tells me the relationship of the player towards me. So in this example, I can see that this project has been awarded to the architect, and that architect is supportive of me. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they spec'd our product. We track that in another area. But in this example, let's say that they have spec'd our product. So we know on this project we are spec'd. But we all know that just because we're spec'd doesn't mean we get the business. So here I can see that Global Construction, which is one of the key subs, is actually opposed to us. Now they can be opposed to us for any reason. The reason at this point doesn't matter. What we're doing here is we're simply capturing the fact that they're opposed. Now I'll show you some other ways that we use this information, but from a purely reactive, tactical point of view, this tells me that I have work to do with this drywall subcontractor named Global Construction. I need to start targeting and work with Bill Smith to make sure that I'm going to move him from opposition to neutral or opposition to supportive. So the way I do that is pretty easy, but I'll come back and talk about just from the perspective of what are the different things telling us. So in this example, I'm going to go ahead and move them from opposition to support, just so you can see the color change. And then we'll talk a little bit more about the implications of that. So with a very simple pick list change, I've changed them from being opposed to us to be supportive. But the bigger message here is that now I have visibility across all my projects. And more importantly, I can see where I'm at risk. So not only do I know that, let's say that the architect has specified me, but I can see across that spectrum where are my risks in terms of a contractor maybe being on board or neutral, and how do I manage that? Now, in this example, we were looking at a specific project. Now what I want to do is I want to change that conversation a little bit, and I want to look across all of my projects and see where I might have risk. So in this example, what I'm looking at is I'm no longer looking at a specific project. I'm looking at all of my project relationships, all of the individual projects that are being affected by or influenced by individual people, and where are my relationships with those people. So in this example, you can see that I've got several different projects. Now you'll notice that I've got a couple duplications here, and that's because I've got, within different projects, I've got some people that have been awarded multiple things. So in this example, I can see that I've got a restaurant project, and I've got a particular contractor. Acme is the contractor, and they're neutral. Now neutral is obviously better than opposition, but it's still something that I need to work towards, going from neutral to supportive. I'm solid on Acme, I'm weak on global, I'm weak on Acme on a new building, I'm weak on global with Bethesda, and obviously I'm solid with Acme on Bethesda. So I'm getting a little bit more proactive. I'm still not as proactive as I could be, but at least now I'm looking at a broader view of my projects. And in this case, for these three particular contractors, I'm going to take steps to make sure that they're on board with me. Now, the next step I want to look at is this idea of what am I doing proactively, sort of separate from projects. So in this example, I'm looking at a list of targeted architects. Now we talk about the architect approach in another video, but in this example, I just wanted to show how we're using this list for architects to imply some similar things that we could do for contractors. So in this particular screen, I'm showing a list of targeted architects, and I'm identifying the last time that I've had a lunch and learn with them. Now, if you use a lunch and learn strategy or something similar to a lunch and learn with a contractor, you could use this approach. If you just want to make sure that you're marketing to a contractor or maintaining some kind of contact with them outside of your projects, the same idea applies. The idea here, though, is that I've got a list of people that I want to target, and more importantly, I have an indicator of whether or not I've got a good relationship with them. In this example, we're using the lunch and learn as a way of indicating, yep, I had a lunch and learn with an architect. That may not necessarily mean I have a good relationship, but at least means I've had this meaningful contact with them. I'm using this as an example because in your case, I'm not sure if you do lunch and learns with contractors or something maybe less in depth than a lunch and learn, but something that at least indicates that you've got a relationship or that you've had contact. Regardless, the tool allows you to track not only who you're targeting, but also where they fit in sort of that relationship. The bigger idea here, as I go back to some of these other things that we're looking at, is, as Mark mentions in his book, you want to make sure that just because you got spec'd on a project, that you're not missing the opportunity by not building that relationship with the contractor. In addition to that, you want to make sure that you're marketing to them and maintaining contact with them. And in another video, I'm going to talk about how do we actually use marketing automation inside of Salesforce to proactively connect with our architects, contractors, everyone that's in that potential selling channel, that we can use marketing automation to actually maintain a relationship with them, share information with them in an automated video and or web-based way that enables them to learn about our product, and more importantly, enables us to track who's actually engaging with our content and who's either gaining value or learning from the various things that we're doing. So look for that other video where we talk about how do we leverage marketing automation in the context of selling building materials. But having said that, thank you for watching this video. And if you'd like to learn more about how we use Salesforce to help building material manufacturers manage the complexity of project-based selling or building material-based selling, Please click the link in the description below. You'll find a link to my calendar. You can schedule some time for us to have a quick conversation and possibly do a demo or even a free trial. We look forward to chatting with you. Thank you.